person. Her name, I'll save her name for later, but let's move on. She is a strategic human resource and leadership executive with over 20 years of experience shaping high-performing organizations. She currently serves in three capacities at Cavista Holdings, a leading investment and holding company, as chief of staff, senior people director, and acting general manager. Her career spans leadership roles across top institutions, including FMDQ Group, here, human, Head Human Resources, Exdelion Capital, Director, HR and Business Support, United Capital, Head, Human Resources, Chapel Hill, Denham, Head Human Resources, as well as earlier roles at KPMG Professional Services and Accenture Nigeria. This person is deeply rooted and driven by peak performance management and operational excellence, both in her professional career and personal pursuits. She has advised national and international organizations, including the National Economic Summit Group, NESG, on operational human resources and strategies. She holds a BSc in economics from the University of Ibadan and is a Society of Human Resources Management Senior Certified Professional, SHRM, SCP. Outside of work, this person is a proud mother of two young adults. She enjoys music, exercising, and has been on a decade-long journey of learning how to swim. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's put our hands together for the phenomenal, no other, Mrs. Funlola Akintonde. Thank you. Fumilola, sorry. Pardon me, thank you so much. You're welcome, ma. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And thank you for the introduction. Thank you to Reverend and thank you to the Youth Ministry for this honor to speak to you today. I'm relatively new in church. In fact, when we were doing introduction, someone said, "You look familiar." I said, "Yes, I come to church from time to time." Because my work takes me all over the place. But I am a member of the church, I hope. For the last 1 year, I think. I've been here. Is it up to 1 year? It's about a year now. And I'm being truly blessed to be part of this family. So today I've been asked to speak about building a career. I think that's the topic. And when I was coming up with different things, what to speak about, I just thought that I would take it from, my assumptions that there are people here who are looking to start a career. There are people here in the early stage of their career that are looking to maybe change careers. And there are people who are looking, as the topic goes, to grow their career. So what can we do? Hopefully, I'll be able to share practical steps that we can take from today and use it to build our career. But to start, I would like us to, if we can put Jeremiah 29, verse 11 on the screen. Passion translation, please. I know it's a verse that is very familiar to all of us. I know the thoughts that I think towards you, but I'm not very, with God's help, I'm smart, but I'm not very smart. So when I see King James Version, I don't understand it. And I try to read New King James. It's supposed to be slightly better, but still the English is a bit too tough for me. So I typically, when I'm reading, I read different versions, and I really like the Passion translation of what this says. It says, "Here's what Yahweh says to you. I know all about the marvelous destiny I have in store for you, a future planned out in detail. My intention is not to harm you, but to surround you with peace and prosperity, and to give you a beautiful future glistening with hope." It's such a profound verse. And during our teachings in financial alignment last month, there was a lady, female speaker that came to speak to us and was talking to us about wealth. I'm going to interchange that with prosperity, because prosperity is not just financial prosperity. Prosperity talks about spiritual prosperity. It speaks about bodily prosperity, mental, relational prosperity. And God is saying here that he has planned for each and every single person of here, including myself, that we have a marvelous destiny. And he knows what he has in store for us. He has planned our future out in detail. Every single thing has been planned out in detail. Can you imagine how at least that's how that makes me feel, how special that makes me feel. And God says that his intention is not to harm me or to harm you, it's to surround us with peace and prosperity. So mentally I'm prosperous, spiritually I'm prosperous. I have relational prosperity, the people I work with and I relate with, right? Emotionally I'm prosperous. And of course, financially I'm prosperous. And to give me a beautiful future, glistening with hope. So as I think about my career or our career, and for those of us in business, it's the same thing. You know, I was checking yesterday, as adults, averagely, you spend 56% of your life as an adult in your career. So it shows how important your career or your business is. And for some, especially those in business, they spend probably roughly close to 90% because they sleep, work, think a business. And also for those in career as well. So 56% I think is even less than an average. And God has said he's planned a beautiful and marvelous destiny for us. So if you have spent so much time in terms of your career, spend so much of your adult life in your career and in your business, it means that God has planned a marvelous destiny, a beautiful career for you, a beautiful business for you, where you have peace and where you be prosperous, right? Okay, I don't like to hear my voice alone, no. So hopefully this will be interactive. So I have a few slides and I'll ask Pastor, sorry, forgive me, I've been calling him Victor, so Pastor Victor. I'll ask Pastor Victor to share to share with all of us after the presentation. So bear with me, I have a few guiding lines to just speak about. So I was thinking that when you're starting your career, and when you're thinking about choosing your career, what should you think about? And this applies to everyone, even those in business. You can take those tips as well. And even those who's probably started a career, if you're thinking that, what else can I do? Or am I in the right career? Those are some of the things you would do. So a bit of how I started my career. Some people are very lucky. Some people are blessed. That from when they're young or when they're in university, they already have an idea of what they want to do, right? I wasn't that blessed. I had no clue. In fact, I was growing up, I feel so sorry for my mother now when I think about it. Because most people, when they are young, they want to be a career, I want to be a doctor. They think about really important things. They want to be a doctor. They want to be, what else do people say they want to do? Lawyer, hey, all those very important things. And then Funlola will come. What do you want to be when you grow up? And my parents' friends will be there. I want to be a fashion designer. So, okay, not bad. But my mother and my parents wanted, my brother was a banker. So they wanted more professional kind of thing. So after that phase went and they encouraged me, guess what I came up with? I wanted to be an air hostess because I liked the plane and I see how they used to wear their uniform, the air hostess wear the uniform and walk up and down the plane. So that really intrigued me. And my mother yes, they look very smart. And my parents were not very pleased. And I said, okay, one day, because I like music. Guess what I want to do? Guess now. I want to what? No, I like music, not video fixing. It's even good. If it was even dancer, it would be better. I was specific. I said I want to be a fella dancer. My mother beats. Fella dancer. My mother beats. Because I like music. I like every type of music. So then and I would see them dancing and the way they would do their body. I was very excited. I wanted to be a fella dancer. So I went to university not knowing what I wanted to study. My father died when I was 12. And I was my father's daughter. I loved my father so much. So to honor him, to feel a bit close to him, he studied economics. So I studied economics, not because I had any interest in economics, but just because my father studied economics. I wanted to feel close to him and honor him. I studied economics. I had no clue. If you ask me anything about economics, I have no clue. But I thank God I passed quite well. But I had no clue what I wanted to study, what I wanted to do, build a career in. So my friends were going to this direction, in that direction. I really had no clue. But what I did know about myself is I get bored easily. So I knew that I didn't want to work in a job that I'm doing the same thing over and over again because I'll get really bored. So I spoke to a couple of people, and someone said, why not think about consulting? Why not go into consulting? Because in consulting, you are working with different clients, trying to solve different problems. So every project is different, and it challenges you. And that's how I went into consulting. So I started my career in consulting, but what I did in determining what I wanted to do is I looked, what am I interested in? I didn't know, to be honest. I had no clue. But then what kind of person am I, right? So this says, and I also have some Bible verses that you can look at later. But when you're thinking about what you want to do, you will want to look at yourself and carry out a self-assessment. What are the things I'm good in? What are the things that, I like naturally? So Exodus verses 31, 3 to 5, I use NKJV in this instance, says, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom, in understanding, in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship, to design artistic work, to work in gold, in silver, in bronze, in cutting jewels for setting, in carving wood, and to work in all manner of workmanship. So some people are blessed. Some people already know what the areas of strength are. So you do that self-assessment and see, what am I good at? You'd also want to engage people. I spoke to people. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I wasn't self-aware to know this is things I'm interested in. I wasn't that self-aware when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I wasn't that self-aware. The only thing I knew is that I get bored easily. That was all. And I was so blessed and lucky for someone to direct me to say, oh, go and work in an industry where you are doing new things, and you're constantly challenged, right? And I thank God I applied and I got the job. So I started my career in Accenture and then KPMG Consulting. We also speak about researching, find out also things that the world is evolving. The world is evolving. So what are the skills that are necessary now? That's something, again, that you can use to guide you. What are the skills that, employers are looking for that will make you employable in the next 10, 15 years, right? So my son graduated from university. He's looking for a job. He hasn't found a job. And he's thinking, okay, let me do masters. And then he came and said he studied business management and said he wants to do a master's in strategy and something. I said, what is strategy? Because strategy, you can, from experience as you're working, you can learn, I think, I might be wrong, you can learn strategy. I said, go and check what is the top work skills that employers are looking for. Because you studied business management, there's so many people looking for work, and you've been applying and applying. You haven't yet found the right role, and it will come in time. But if you're going to go back to school, then check what it says that will make you really employable. Right, so they say data analytics, AI. I don't know all those things. The only thing I know is ChatGPT. When I write a sentence, I put ChatGPT. ChatGPT will help me write it when I put BAM. I've written good English. But that's also important to understand what is happening in the world. Don't just be self-absorbed and understand this is what I want to do, but also see how you can situate your skills in the world. Network with professionals, but more importantly, I put it at the last, but it's a foundation, is to consistently communicate with God. Ask God for direction. He's the one that put the interest in you. He is the one that formed you. He's the one that gave you your personality and your skills. He's the one that has that marvelous destiny that we spoke about, right? In Jeremiah. Ask him. Always ask him. And if sometimes you don't have a direction or you don't believe you've heard from God, take a step out in faith. Because what is so beautiful about God is that God will always course correct us. I liken my relationship or our relationship with God with the GPS. So you're in your car, you're going somewhere, you put in the direction, and you miss your step, you miss your way. But what happens? The GPS will course correct you, right? It will reroute you. That is what it is with God. So even if you're asking God and you're waiting and you say, God, what should I do regarding work or regarding anything else? And you don't believe you've heard, I always say, take a step. Take a step, and God will direct you, and God will course correct you. So even if you feel like you're doing the wrong thing, God will course correct you because He will honor that step that you have taken. Okay? So in terms of identifying what you want to do in your career, those are some of the things that would help you. So identify your personal strengths and your interests. Now that you've identified, you've applied for a role, and you're beginning to prepare for a corporate role, I always tell people, never stop learning. Never, ever stop learning. I learned recently the principle of compounding. You know that every day, no matter how little it is, you just try and improve yourself. So if you improve yourself 1% every single day, which may seem seemingly small, but by the end of the year, I don't know math, by the way, but according to a formula, by the end of the year, 365 days, you would have improved yourself by 37%. So always learn. Always try to learn. One thing, one of the verses I looked at is Proverbs 4:7, and I use the NLT version in this case. It says, intelligent people are always ready to learn. Their ears are open for knowledge. I remember one of the interviews I interviewed for, they asked me, are you a knower or a learner? I've never heard of it before. I don't know who a knower is or what a learner is. But thank God for God, because I was like, a knower means that I too know. You probably think you know everything. A learner means that you're open to learning. You must always be open to learning and learning from everyone. I learn from anyone. I don't just learn from people who I feel know better than me. I learn from anybody. Read books, watch TV. Even Instagram too is good. I know most of us were on Instagram. So just be mindful of what you're learning from Instagram. But Instagram too is good. ChatGPT. Always be learning. So as you've gotten your job, or even if you haven't gotten the job, or if you are thinking of starting a business, start learning. Prepare yourself for it. Because the opportunity will come. And when the opportunity comes, you want to be prepared, right? Right? Yes. Thank you. You want to be prepared. So for those in corporate role, education is important. I want to assume that most of us here have finished school. By the grace of God, we did well in school. And if we didn't do as well as we wanted, there's opportunity to continue growing. So take courses, right? Take certifications. I am currently in a role and I'll speak a bit about myself towards the end, but I'm currently in a role after doing over 20 years of HR. I'm now in a role where it's more business management. Last week, I was preparing for a board meeting, 4-hour board meeting. And in that board meeting, I was talking about 4 of our businesses. I work in an investment and holding company. So we have 5 subsidiaries. And part of the things we're going to talk about was finance, how the business will do in terms of numbers. Again, I don't know math. Anything that has to do with numbers, my brain just freezes. So there were some things I also talk about the business performance, debit, credit, finance. I have no clue. So I did the presentation. My boss said, very well done. But I could see that when you're going through the numbers, the accounting, you just quickly breeze through it. I'm sure in your head you're thinking that they should not ask me questions. They shouldn't ask me questions. And it's true because they told me about profitability, debit, and I have no clue. Is there any accountant here, by the way? Because I'm open to learning. So saying that is that I'm now looking to do accounting courses. I have to learn if I want to be good in what I'm doing in my new role. I have to improve. So I'm doing accounting courses. I'm learning debit and credit. I'm learning EBITDA. I don't even know. So I'm sure you know EBITDA. I have no clue. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it properly. I don't even know what it means. But I have to learn. So this is me after 20-something odd years of working. I'm still learning. So it's important that you always learn. Explore certifications, explore courses, and learn from people. Leverage internships. That's also important, and volunteer opportunities. As you're waiting for a corporate job, as you're waiting for your business to kick off, leverage any opportunity that comes your way. I was telling my son that as you're waiting now, he's now doing a volunteer job. As he's waiting for his full-time job, he's doing a volunteer job where he's teaching children math and English. But in that, you are learning things. You're learning how to teach. You're learning how to how to communicate. You're learning how to be organized. And those are skills that would help. And I was telling him that aside from this, which pays you something, a stipend, look for volunteer opportunities. Because all those things that you learn, you never know how will they help you in the future. Another thing is we talked about is similarly to learning is developing relevant skills. I talked about organizational skills. Communicate, learn how to talk. Learn how to communicate. Sometimes you just have an opportunity to speak to someone for 2 minutes and you have to make an impact in those 2 minutes. I have the slides, so I'll share them so you don't have to take a Reverend, is it Pastor Victor? Brother Victor will share them. Okay. So learn how to communicate, learn how to engage people, learn how to solve problems and critical thinking. I like AI. I'm very pleased with what's going on in terms of AI. But I think that, I actually know that it also has its downsides because it doesn't help you to think critically. It doesn't at all. I want to do something. I'm part of it too. Let me not be saying I'm part of them. You want something, you just put on ChatGPT. What do you think? Something, you give it out. I'm like, wow, this is nice. Then my children have told me that, Mommy, you have to say it in a way that, I was okay, write like Funlola or think like Funlola. Because sometimes I was write something, I put it on our WhatsApp group. My children will say, Mommy, this is AI. It's ChatGPT. But that's in writing. But in terms of even how to think, you want to do a presentation. Before, when you want to do a presentation, when I was growing up in my career, or think about writing a paper, you will first think, you first do outline for 1 week, you think, you pray, you do body introduction, that's taking 2 days. So it's taking like 1 week or 2 weeks to do a presentation. Now, you just put it in, and they said the presentation will just come out. So you're not analyzing. And then my colleague at work, who was doing some analysis, we're looking to go into power, or we need power for one of our subsidiaries, a manufacturing company. And he was doing some power analysis, biogas versus CNG, and some things I'm still trying to learn. And he was putting some questions in ChatGPT, or I think it was Claude. There's Claude as well, I'm told. And it came out, and I was like, no, this is not quite correct. So he challenged the Claude. Guess what Claude said? You got me there. You got me there. What do you mean you got me there? Aren't you supposed to give me the answer? You got me there. He now wrote something else, asked the question. He now said, yeah, you're very correct. So, whilst AI is good, but if we are solely reliant on it, it's not helping us to think critically at all. And that's very important in whatever phase you want to do, business, career, you need to be able to analyze. You need to be able to evaluate things. And yes, ChatGPT is good to help you, but you can see that it's not correct now, sometimes. Because it's what is on the internet is bringing out, and what's on the internet is sometimes not correct, okay? So it's important that you're able to think critically, and it's not every situation that you can go to ChatGPT. You're talking to your boss or talking to your colleague, and they're asking you, you say, hold on, please, and be checking ChatGPT, right? So it's also good to be aware. It's also good to be aware of what is happening in your environment. I'm always using myself as an example. I recently, again, because of my new role, I need to know what's going on in the world. I told them my house, please help me put news. Just put CNN, what is it, Al Jazeera, NT. Because sometimes I'm talking to my boss and I say, what happened in China, something, I'm looking very quick. He said, Funa, you have to know. I say, yes, I have to know, because my husband sports me. He knew everything, so I'll ask him. So I don't read newspapers, which is bad, but at least I'm being honest here. Because if I lie to you, God will convict me. So I don't read newspapers. I don't really know much what's going on in the world. But now I need to learn. And my children sometimes have conversations with me, and I'm like, okay, I'm coming. Let me find out. So now, in the morning or in the evenings, I have news in my house. I'm flipping from CNN to BBC to NTA to channels. At least by the time I'm listening, something will enter my hair. Abi? And then when I'm talking to people in the office and they're saying what's happening in the world past, I say, yes, it's the highest, it's on the highest something's gone up, it's now 100 and something, because I heard it on news, right? But you have to constantly always be learning. It's important. If you improve 1%, just think about just small improvements every day. And you would look back and be like, wow, how did I get this body of knowledge? Yeah? Also know how to manage your time. Time is so important, especially for us you young people. Us, because me, I'm still young. It's very important to know how to manage your time because at the end of the day, we all have that 24 hours. But if you spend all your time just doing things that are good, interesting, but not necessarily important, you'll find that you've really just wasted your time. So, time management, how to organize your day, organize your life is extremely important. And learn technology. As you're waiting to start job, go and learn how to use Microsoft Word, please. Know how to use Excel. When they ask you, what can you do on Excel? Don't just say, I know how to add. No, what are the things you can do in Excel now? Do you understand? Know how to use PowerPoint. There's Power BI. There are different things. So whilst you're ready, there's workplace readiness, right? Know how to talk, even with your friends. You guys learn how to present, learn how to communicate, learn how to discuss. Do you understand? So whilst you're waiting, don't just sit down and pray. As Christians, we're really good at praying, and prayer is important. But then you also need to self-develop. You also need to improve yourself. God will help you. But you can't just sit down there in the morning, you're praying, afternoon, you're praying, evening, you're praying, and you're not doing anything to help and develop and improve your skills. Now, as you begin to, another thing that I called equipping your toolkit. And I used Proverbs 22:29 for this. I used NKJV. Or let's even use Passion Translation. Okay, thank you. It says, if you are uniquely gifted in your work, you will rise and be promoted. You won't be held back. You stand before kings. And you know the thing is that not many, maybe just 1% of the world actually have that uniquely gifted. They just come naturally. It's natural to them. The rest of us, we have to work hard at it. But you will improve if you work hard at it. So the first thing as you start looking for a job is to have a good CV, right? When I was doing this slide, I was like, hey, should I promise this? But I'll promise it. For whoever needs me to help them review their CV, I'm able to help you review your CV. Okay. So send it through Pastor Victor. Or actually, you can get my number from him and just send me your CV and I'll help you review your CVs. You know, so that's important because that's the first thing that the employer will see about you. Because an employer sees so many things, so many CVs. And please, especially for those of us who have just started our career, don't go and write 2-page CV. What have you done? A 1-page CV that adequately captures your degree, what you study, your experience, and how you even write that experience, even if it's volunteering work. If it's work that you've done in church, the way they will write it, do you understand? It will be different. So please send me, for those who are interested, send me your CVs, and then I'll help you review it. Another thing is online presence. How many of you are on LinkedIn? Okay, I can help you review LinkedIn profile too. But also, online presence is important. And it's not just for you to just say, this is I'm looking for a job or I'm working here. From time to time, put out posts. The little work you've done, whatever it is, put out posts. Follow other people. Like, comment. Your online presence is very important. Network. Network with people, engage people. You meet someone, talk to them, get the number, have a conversations. Network, improve or expand your network. Practice, practice, practice. Practice builds confidence. I have over 20-something years of working. I do not like to be in the front of people talking. I have spoken at work so many times. It's still a challenge. I talked about how I had a board meeting, a board meeting last week. I've been sitting in board meetings and presenting for the last 10 odd years, but I still practice. That board meeting, I had to prepare a presentation to the board for 45 minutes. I prepared the presentation. I did 3 dry runs of my colleagues. And my dry runs were not even just my colleagues, even my junior staff, Gen Z, that will tell you, they will analyze it for you and say, you didn't speak this, you spent too long, something. I did 3 dry runs. I did one with my colleagues. They gave me feedback. I said, okay, I'm coming back. I did another dry run. After that, they gave me feedback. I did another dry run before I went to present to the board. And I've been presenting to board for over 10 years. Practice, practice, practice. Never go unprepared. Never, ever go unprepared. you know. And then we practice. Of course, our foundation is God. The board meeting was on Friday, Good Friday actually, because some of my board members are not Nigerians, they're not in the country. And on Friday mornings, I have prayer meetings with three of my sisters or three of my friends, and then prayed about the board meeting. Do you understand? So do your own, and also ask God to do His own. But you can't just pray and then you won't prepare, you won't practice. I practiced 3 times, 45 minutes. They'll give me feedback. I said, okay, I'm coming. I came again. He said, I know you are doing well. It's okay. I said, no. So practice, practice, practice. No matter how good you think you are, practice. Because practice indeed does make perfect, right? And never stop trying. So if you are looking, so let's even talk about looking for a job or you're looking to do business. Sometimes, especially when you are applying for jobs, sometimes I do understand they can get tired. And I'll tell you about a bit about me towards the end. We'll spend a bit of time talking about my own career. So I can understand that it can get very tiring. You can get deflated. You just want to just give up. But never stop trying. You should not have you should not give up. That trying it builds resilience, okay? Or if you're trying to do something or work on something, never ever stop trying. Ask for guidance, always ask for help. And know the right people to ask for help. And now you've done all of that, you've landed the role, and you started working. Okay? So you've prepared for the role, or maybe you haven't even. But now that you have the role, or for those of us in business, now that you started the business, what can you begin to do to help um, yourself? You will see on this slide, on the next slide, where it's talked about working principle for business, for success. I asked one of my younger colleagues, my team member, to help me. And when I saw this slide, she said, never to be caught on fresh. I love it. So she's saying that, you can never be caught on, I'm like, that's my slang now, never to be caught on fresh. Underperforming or uninspired, stay sharp. You have to be dedicated to excellence. You have to be dedicated to excellence. You always want to go the extra mile. Don't give your minimum. Don't at all. Remember we said 1% every day, right? Don't give your minimum. Your minimum should not be the standard. And then also, sometimes another thing we do is that because sometimes we have a supervisor, we'll do the bare minimum, send the work to the supervisor, knowing that supervisor we shall finish the work. The supervisor will review and ensure that the whole thing is done properly. No. Always give your best because the supervisor is watching you, and those are opportunities for growth, right? The good plus also unfortunate thing is that good work begets more work. But then that's how you grow. If they know that this person is hardworking, is trustworthy, has integrity. When we talk about integrity, we say doing something, doing what, being yourself where other people cannot are not there. So you don't have a mask. But I always talk about integrity of work. Even in your work, whatever you hand out, it has to have integrity. The information there is correct. The data there is correct. Everything you put there is correct. So there's also called integrity, not just about the person, but yes, it's about the person, but also the work that you do. In business, for those of us, I think there's someone that's here that said he's into interiors. The integrity of your work. When you decorate, when you do something, is there integrity? Is it of good quality? Be reliable and dependable. If you say you're going to do something by this time, make sure you do it. And if you are not able to finish, then go and meet the person that do the work ahead of time. Don't wait for the time to come, and then that's when you now start giving excuses. Be resilient. We always have challenges. There's no way in the workplace. You will have challenges, but that challenge builds character. And be accountable. Take ownership from your work. I tell people I work with that if your work is to prepare a document, right? And that document needs to be approved, I have to review to approve it. So Pat, for example, is working with me. She's done something, sends it to me. And as far as she's concerned, she's done her work, she's finished it. But the end goal of the work is what? Is to have that document approved, right? So yes, you've done your work, and that's good. But take ownership such that maybe Funlola has so much things that she's dealing with, may not have seen it, or may have seen it and is not have other things. Send a follow-up email. Send a follow-up email. And if after sending a follow-up email, I say, okay, I'm coming, and I don't come and meet me. And say, okay, can we have 10 minutes? Let's just quickly look at this document. And then it's signed and it's reviewed. You've taken ownership. So whilst your work is just to do the documents, and they say, how far are these documents? I've sent it to her. That's not taking ownership. Go the extra mile. So for me, those are principles for success. You have to be dedicated to excellence. You have to be reliable and dependable. Be resilient and be accountable. I'm so mindful of time. When they told me 45 minutes, I said, what am I going to say in 45 minutes? And they were still at it. Working principles for growth. Again, another verse that we can use here. Proverbs 13, verse 14. NLT. Lazy people want much but get little. But those who work hard will prosper. Do you know that hard work doesn't kill anybody? At least I don't know. I mean, I guess there's some physical hard work that can be a bit strenuous on the body. But generally, hard work doesn't kill anybody. So what does it cost you to put in that work? Be open-minded. We talked about being a knower or a learner. Detest myopic thinking. Don't be a know-it-all, I know. Learn from everybody. Be open to different things. Be emotionally intelligent. And I try to define emotional intelligence. I'll read it out to you guys. Emotional intelligence is having the ability to recognize, to understand, to manage and use emotions, both your own and other people's effectively. It's not just about feelings. It's about how you navigate relationships, make decisions, and respond under pressure. It's one good thing to be good at your work. It's another thing to be emotionally intelligent. Because, for example, you have a supervisor that you want to talk to about something, and you know that the person is angry. Is that the time you go and discuss with the person? You wait till the person is in a good mood or whatever, and then you approach. So emotional intelligence is very key in the workplace. And not just in the workplace, even as you navigate life. Go 2 steps further. The example I gave about ensuring the document is done is going 2 steps further. In all of this, do not compromise on your faith. In all of this, always ask God. You know, as Christians, sometimes we tend to put God in the morning and the evening, and then the rest of our day. We are just, especially for those that are working, because sometimes work can be high pressure. So in the morning, when you wake up, you spend time with God. In the evening, before you go to bed, you thank God for the day. But then you're at work, and there are different things that you need to deliver on, different conversations you are having, and we don't tend to sometimes bring God into those situations. So in everything, put God in that situation. Now, I'm about to close. I have 9 more minutes. But in closing, there are some things that I didn't put in the slide I want to speak about, and I'll speak a bit about my career journey. First of all, don't do office gossip. Don't do office politics. It's none of your business what's happening with anybody or what someone said to somebody. Focus on your own job, right? And then another thing that we sort of always fall into, traps that we fall into, is that get to know people for yourselves. So you get into a new job, into a new role, and you say, oh, this person is like this person is not approachable, this person, and then you form your own opinion on the individual. Get to know the person for yourself. Do not involve yourself in office gossip, and prove yourself. Go the extra mile. Another thing, and I'm sure a number of us have dreams or things that we want for our lives. Write them down. Write them down. And then just pray and ask God for it. So, some of my own journey, and I'm going to speak to the latter part of my journey just to bring everything home, what I've said. I was going to check my phone. Hold on, give me a minute to just open my phone because I write things down on my phone. I have notes where I write different things I'm looking for, or I'm asking God for. So in October 6, 2022, specifically at 6:37 p.m., In terms of my career, I was at a low point in my career. I was working in an organization that I didn't particularly like. Also, if you're working somewhere that's not quite where you want to be, it doesn't stop you issues at every single point in time. Put in your best. Okay, so don't say that, oh, this is not quite a job for me, or I'm just taking this job because it's paying the bills. At every single point, put in your best, because I tell people it's your career. So whatever you're going to learn is yours. When you're leaving that company, it's not as if they open your head and carry everything that you've learned there, right? So it's helping you build. So I was in this place at that time, at a very low place. I wasn't enjoying it. It took too much of my time. I didn't have time for my family, specifically my husband. At the time, my husband was critically ill. We were in significant debt. Even to take care of my husband, there was friends that were helping with hospital bills and things like that, right? To feed my children at the time, were schooling abroad, foreign exchange, didn't have money, we had loans, so the salary, my husband wasn't working, the salary I was earning was just barely enough to pay the loan. So it was just a terrible, it was a time of despair. And October 6, 2022, I just wrote down 6:37 p.m. I called it a new season. And I tried to just visualize the kind of job I want. Then I was still in nature, primarily nature. I wrote the kind of job I want in terms of the kind of money we pay and in what currency. I wrote that. I've never earned outside Naira. I wrote a few things, but I'll just share one or two with you. I said, a job that allows flexibility to work remotely or work remotely for relatively long periods in time, because my children are not in this country, so I want a job that can go and sit down and be working and be seeing them. I wrote a job that is in human resources, right? But includes other functions. I said not admin, maybe project management, perhaps like a chief operating officer role. And then I wrote a job that is fulfilling and impactful, an organization that makes a difference to the society. And lastly, one of the things I want to share is that I don't want financial services industries, because I don't know if when you're listening to my profile, most of the jobs before this was in financial services. And I found myself there, but I didn't particularly enjoy financial services, but I still do the best of my ability. I wrote that. I must admit I prayed a few times about it, but after a while I left it. And then this was in October 2022. And maybe a month or 2 months later, God asked me to leave my job. I should resign. And I said, how? I was the only person earning. My husband was critically ill. My children are abroad. We're in debt. And God said, leave your job, which is important because, guys, everything I've said, the whole foundation is God. So it's important that you have that relationship with God. And I fought that decision. I fought it so badly. And in January, God of the following year, God convicted me. And I left the job. In fact, I never forget when I was going to resign, my husband was lying in bed. I stood by the door, and I was telling him that God said I should resign. I stood far. This is someone that was sickly in bed. I said, in case the anger that burns in, he will now jump up and slap me. I just stood away, and I said that God said I should resign. And I said, okay. And I resigned. And you know, sometimes as a Christian, you'll be like, well, God said you should resign, so by next following day, you get a new job. And then I was waiting. And nothing. And in this, I had like 4 months notice period. And then every day I'll go on LinkedIn and I'll apply for jobs. It got so bad that I'll apply. I would not even read what the job is about. I'll just see human resources and I'll apply. And then I would apply to also, because again, I wanted to earn good money. So I'll apply to remote jobs that they'll pay FX and I would apply. And then this job that I'm currently in, this company, I saw it. At the time, it was just a people director, Carvista Holdings. And that job, what I liked about it is it was not in financial services. They had industries in hospitality, in agriculture, in technology, industries I've never played in. And I went and I applied for the role. And I did interview, and they said, well done, congratulations, got a job. And I was excited because, again, remember, God said you should leave a job now. So if God has given this, then everything I'm looking for will be answered. And then they now give me the offer, and they give me the money. And the offer was money that I've not earned in the last 15 years. It was the most ridiculous amount of money. Bear in mind that, again, at this point, I was not working. My husband was critically ill. There was no money in the family. We were in significant debt. And I said, God, how? And guess what God said? God said, take the job. And I said, it's not possible, God. Don't you know? God said, take the job. So I took the job. The only thing I negotiated was health insurance because needed a good health insurance so that it could meet some of the medical needs. Because I take the job. And that I started that job in June 2023. And I'm grateful I took the job because it helped me spend time with my husband. He passed in December 2023. My previous work, I was working round the clock. When I come back home, I'm opening laptop. When I'm weekends, I'm either exhausted, I'm sleeping, or I'm not working. And but this job was at the time it was just starting, so it was flexible, and I could work from home. So it made me spend time with my husband in the last few months. And my husband passed in December 2023. And then in January, in 2024, I said, God, thank you, because as far as I'm concerned, that's the reason why God gave me that job, to spend time and sort out things in the family. And I said, okay, now that my husband passed, I need to work. I need money that can pay school fees, because I can't be going to go and meet people. I'm going to go and meet people and say, please, I need help, because I won't be able to do what they will ask me to do. So I said, okay, let me start looking for a job. And I got, as God, or I don't know if, as things go, I did get a job that somewhat answered some of the things I put there. It was going to pay very good money in different currency. And I was happy. But there's a way that seems right to man. So I went to resign. I told my chairman, and I said, thank you very much for the opportunity. I enjoy working here, but I have to feed my family, and I have to pay school fees. And he then said that, I've been looking at you and the way you apply yourself to the job and the dedication and the spirit of excellence you bring to work. Now, I don't speak on the pulpit. I'm not a preacher. But the ministry I believe God has given me is work, which is why I say always bring you're putting your best, because you never know when the opportunity will come. You don't know who's looking at you. I've done 20 years of HR only in my life. It's only human resources I've done. Even when I was in consulting, it was human resources projects in other companies I was doing. And my chairman said, I want a chief of staff. And I've been looking at you, and I want you to take that role. And I said, wow, thank you very much, because it would enable me to stay there. I wasn't very excited about that role, but it would pay the bills. So I stayed. And I thought that God gave me that job because He wanted me to spend time at home. I didn't realize that He was answering the questions or the things I had put October 2022. So I got the role, not HR. I still do my HR, little bit, but I wrote there, Chief Operating Officer. And I'm Chief of Staff for an organization that has different subsidiaries, for a chairman who has a thriving business in the US. So my work, I travel locally. That's why most times you don't see me in church. I travel locally, I travel internationally. I work for an organization that has deep impact, because what we're doing in Nigeria is about jobs, and empowering people. So I say that to say this, that everything I've told you is important. You need to, I saw this quote and I put it there. I said, work like it depends on you, but pray like it depends on God. So everything I've said, fix your CV, put in the work extra hours. When I was starting my career in consulting, we'll work 24 hours. Sometimes we sleep in the office while working. But every single thing that you're doing now is building you for that career growth. Don't listen to office politics. They said, I can't remember who gave the testimony the other day about they hadn't promoted people in a while, but he got double promotion. It wasn't, you know? So don't listen to what people say. Just do your own. Fix your eyes on what you want to do, on what you're doing, and trust God. So I gave all that story to say that whilst I was working and doing my little bit, I also trusted God. So if you have dreams for what you want to do in life, not just your career, whatever you want to do, write it down. And it may seem like it's not possible. When I wrote it down, it just seemed like it was not possible. There was no way. See, people are here, so they know they can tell you if I'm lying. Now, Pat tells me, Auntie, this is your dream job. I'm like, wow. Sometimes I want to complain. I've not been in the house for 2 weeks. I just remember God. Yeah. Now this is what you asked for. Do you understand? So at the time I wrote it, it didn't seem that it was possible. It didn't seem feasible at all. So sometimes we have dreams for ourselves, work, business, or any other thing. Write it down. Keep it in the back of your mind. and then continue just working where you find yourself. Where you find yourself, even if it's not the best opportunity. I've worked in places that were not enjoyable, but I look back and it was the skills and things I learned and the relationships I built that brought me thus far, right? So, I have the last slide. Can you put it up? I have what we call a career declaration. And I want all of us to say it together. Can we stand up? Can you see the screen? It's pretty tiny. Can you see it? Okay. So let's all say it together in closing. I am guided by God's purpose and direction. I walk in God's wisdom and make sound decisions. I am diligent, disciplined, and committed to excellence. My skills make room for me. I give my best in all I do, and I shall reap plenty. I am confident, capable, and prepared for all God has in store for me. I grow daily. I excel consistently, and I succeed purposely. I become everything I am called to be. So help me, God. Amen. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Please, more round of applause for our speaker. That was, thank you so much, Ma. How many of us were blessed? In fact, she took me to another level, to another height. Thank you so much, Ma, for being a blessing. Thank you so, so much. So I believe we have questions. A lot of us have questions. So if you have questions, anything you want to say, anything you're not clear about, and don't forget the privilege of submitting your CVs and also your LinkedIn. So this is a rare privilege that people pay huge money for. So don't sleep on it. So we'll write down your questions now. Please, if you have, signify by raising up your hand.
All right,
so we can take that quickly.
We have some questions already.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll just go ahead and read some of them. They're here. So the first one says, what do you do when your line manager is threatened by your personality, performance, and influence, even as a subordinate? And he couldn't hide his insecurity as it is expressed almost in all engagements, despite your effort to even play small to make him feel comfortable and avoid toxicity. That's a question.
Gosh, Holy Spirit, help me. You know, I don't know the work environment. I don't know the particular situation. Sometimes you have people in the office that you can speak to. Sometimes that supervisor may have another supervisor you can engage. You can speak to HR, right? But more importantly, I would say what's I do and how I've lived my life. I just take it to God. So where I've tried to engage, sometimes you try to even speak to the line manager. What have I done? How do I work more effectively with you? And this is the line manager you said that is quote unquote jealous of you. You've tried to speak to other colleagues, senior people to guide you, to possibly even speak to that line manager. You've spoken to HR, and you may not even want to take it official because that might even make it worse for you, right? Take it to God. There have been so many times in my career that I don't know what to do or how to navigate. I take it to God. And then in that time, it may not appear that things are changing, but you will look back and see that things indeed have changed. So you have options. You can speak to the person directly, depending, but it doesn't seem like this kind of boss you can speak to. You can speak to other supervisors to guide you, or people that have a good relationship with him or her to speak to her. You can make it official, take it to HR. But more importantly, my first course of action has always been to take it to God.
Wow. A round of applause,
Thank
please.
you so much, Ma.
Okay,
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
You have a question? Okay. So to also
Hey,
add
Brazil, you can come.
to also add to what Mommy said, um, it's not easy dealing with of workspace toxicity, especially when like some people are so, it's as though the devil has built a castle in their hearts and they just want you off the scene completely. But you're as a child of God and knowing who you are, that's why it's very important to first of all know who you are, what you embody, what you carry as a child of God, and also to focus on your grind. And like she said, pray. And then also, she also made mention that there are certain skills you have to also learn because sometimes, maybe as a result of our background, as a result of where we are coming from, we might not really know how to handle certain issues when we are faced with them. So some people don't know how to communicate. When issues like that happen, they just, you know, they just go quiet, and then some even they show it in their face, in their behavior. Why does this person not like me? And that can even be adding salt to injury. So in cases where you have to confront, when I mean confront, not aggressively, but with love and everything. So all these things are also very important. And then you must also have that one person in your workplace that you can actually talk to, not in a gossip manner, because sometimes when you're trying to talk about a person to another person, I don't even know that man, he be like say he get Chris for it. And you might not even know the person you are telling might just go behind your back and go and say, did you offend this person? If you see the way she was talking about you. So that's where wisdom applies and all of that. And lastly, the bottom line is still pray and work on yourself. And God will always fight for the helpless. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Thank you very much. I would say I've really been blessed by the times we shared this morning. I want to ask you one question. You were talking about dry runs, dry runs. I don't know what dry run is. I don't know what dry run is, so I want you to tell me what dry run is because I went to an event recently and a small girl was asking me about the dad's pet peeve. I didn't know what pet peeve was because all this new English that is just coming out. I was thinking, I said, you mean the pet that your daddy likes? He said, no, that's not pet peeve. You see? So, English keeps changing and we need to continue learning. Then, secondly, you said something about integrity of work. I used to think integrity was all about morals. And now I understand that integrity can be in what you do too. How can I, because I'm into graphic designing, and at times when I design for people, they come back and say, "You have not done this place well, I want this place to be like this." So I keep correcting. How can I do the person's mind in what I'm doing so that the person will say, "Oh, perfect." You understand what I mean? So those are the questions I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brother Chinedu.
Thank you, sir. Dry run means practice to do the presentation. So I told you that I had a meeting presentation. So I'll present to other people, and they will give me feedback, and I will prove. So dry run is to do that practice to present. Exactly, test run. Thank you, sir. And the second question was, how do you have integrity of work? In your work, and specifically to the example you gave about the type of work you do, I'm sure when they give you something to do, some graphics, you should probably do engage them. What do they want? What are they thinking about? So spend a bit more time just engaging the person to understand what their vision is. Sometimes people say, I want a rose. But then why do you want a rose? What exactly are you trying to communicate? So try and spend a bit more time in understanding what your customer wants. That's one. Two is that I've learned that no matter how I review a work, it can't be perfect. So I have people that will send my work to look at before I submit it. Do you understand? So you have people that you trust, that you know that they have a good eye of excellence that will check the work for you because you are the one that prepared the work. So sometimes there are some errors and things that you will miss. But if you give somebody else to take a look at it, they can identify things and say, oh, do this better before you submit it. So two key things. Try and deeply understand what your customer wants, engage them, ask them questions, and then two, get other people to help you review and take a look at your work before you send it to your customer. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Sorry, I also have a question since it's related to what he said. It's about integrity. Integrity a lot of times is expensive. Like what I mean expensive, for you to give the best of what you have to use the best materials. And being that you know that this thing is you have to offer is very good, you will spend what it takes to get it done. But a lot of times, when you are faced with clients who are not ready to pay for this service, but then they want the best, and you need this money, you need this job, you need to get this job done. So would you advise that you take the job and do something that is within their budget for them, and knowing that you really don't do those kind of jobs, your job is strictly on like it's expensive, so because of what's your quality, you don't compromise your quality. That's what I mean. So do you still go ahead compromising your quality for the budget of your client, or you stick to your quality and not render service to those who cannot afford it?
Man must eat. Man must eat. So I'll answer and then I'll come back to your specific answer. So what I want to say is that, your work will talk for itself. If you continue, and I'll answer your specific question, but I've always believed that if you continue to maintain a standard, if you continue to give a certain level of excellence, your customers will either rise to pay at that price, or you will eventually get the right customers. But pending that time where you are able to dictate your customers and dictate your pricing and walk away from opportunities, there's still integrity even at a cheaper price. Do you understand? So even at that cheaper price or that something, whilst it may not be 100% excellent, but for that price, you are still able to give something that is of good quality that the customer that is paying a less price would appreciate. Do you understand? Which is why I started by saying man must eat. Because you might be at a place where you can't afford to walk away from every opportunity. You can't. Right? But eventually, as you keep at it, I was saying, my boss was talking about something about nowadays we tend to just jump from one thing or the other, jump from one thing. But if you keep at something and you continue doing it, you'll be known for that thing. So they will get a point in time where they know that you do this at this level of excellence, and the right customers and the right people will come to you, and you'll be able to dictate. But in that time, as you are growing, even though it's not the standard that you want, but even within that lower standard, you can still give work that is of good quality. Do you understand?
All right, thank you so much. All right, so we'll take one of the questions from the audience. Is it advisable to reapply in your current place of work based on an advertised vacancy?
Absolutely. They won't. So my understanding of that question, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you have a role and there's another other opportunity, and the company, they allow internal recruitment, so you apply, right? That's what that question is saying. Absolutely. And if you don't get the job, but you still have your same role now, it's not that they will sack you from that role. So I believe that if you feel that you are capable for that role, you have the skills, you prepare, you've built your competencies, then please, by all means, apply for whatever is possible, please. If you believe that there's opportunity, there's room for growth, please apply and do as long as you will not lose that role if you don't get it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I've seen that happen time over time, not particularly for me, but for other colleagues. And at least the companies I worked for, where the individual did not get the job, the individual is not penalized for applying. Do you understand?
Yeah, just hold on, ma. Quick question from Sister Favor.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question, right? So when you started your presentation, the first part was about choosing a career path. And the angle that you brought it from is like when you are starting out in life. But what about when you've already had a career path, but you're trying to transition? And the thing is that when you're trying to transition, because the two fields, they are so far apart, like one has nothing to do with the other. How do you navigate that aside building all these skills, taking courses and the rest? Like, how do you form those networks that will help you to know the nitty gritty of like the parts that you're transitioning into? And then there's also the thing about networking, right? I've heard people say send people cold mails on LinkedIn. Sorry? I've heard people say send people cold messages on LinkedIn, like just try and reach out. But the thing is that when you try and reach out, most people don't even They don't respond.
Correct.
Yes. And then you do it consistently, but over the years, aside you just even getting tired about it, it begins to feel like you're bothering the other person, and you just get
So
lost.
are you
'Cause
sending cold mails to look for a job, or you're sending cold mails to do what?
okay, so you're saying for connection, Abby, and to know how to navigate your path in your transitioning. So my question is, how do you first of all navigate the transitioning, and then the cold mail, and then the networking part of it?
Ah.
Thank you
So,
very much, Sister Phoebe.
how do you navigate the transition? So aside from sending cold mails, and I'm going to try and answer everything in one. Aside from sending, because I am guilty of that. I don't particularly answer cold mails on LinkedIn, but cold mails means that someone you don't know, you just send an email to the person, either requesting for a job or asking to for whatever it is, counsel or something, you know. And it's not like the person is being wicked or not answering, but the person is really very busy and overwhelmed. Might not even see your mail in such a long time. But in transitioning for a role, one thing I want to say is that you've built skills in a particular role and you want to transition into another role. There's nothing wrong from starting from the bottom, by the way, because you know what? You always catch up. That's one, just to say that. Because sometimes the mistake some people make is that because I've grown so much in this role, I want to transition. They expect to transition into that same high level. It doesn't work like that. So you might go some levels lower, but then you're taking one step back to take leaps forward. So that's one. Two, building networks with people who are in that role so that you understand the nitty gritty. It's not just by going on LinkedIn. I'm sure ask people, ask your friends, ask anyone, come to church, ask me. Okay, I want to go this. Do you know somebody in this area? So ask around, try and get people who know somebody. Do you understand? And can do that connection with for you. I know it's tough getting to know people, but most of the times cold mails don't work. So you could be lucky and blessed, and the cold mail will work. But ask around, ask people, because you never know. I always tell people it's 8 degrees of separation, so you don't know who knows who. So ask around, ask your friends, ask your parents, ask anybody, your aunties and uncles. This role I want to go into, do you know someone that is doing it? Is there someone you can introduce me to? And that's easier when you have an introduction that someone that you don't know that you send a cold mail to. Was there any other part of the question?
No.
Okay, thank you. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah. So, what would you advise? Staying in one organization for a long time, or moving between jobs to gain more diverse experience?
So, so me, I don't know. It depends. In banking at the time when I was growing, I never really worked in banking. I was not a banker. But you see people move ever so often because they believe that that's how you grow in the career. Because if you stay in one bank, you don't really move up the career ladder. But if you move from UBA to move to Access, you're being promoted, they move you to a higher level. But I also find that you may not necessarily have deep skills. You may not necessarily have deep skills, but that is also, again, not may not be the case for everybody. So when I look at my career, I spent every place I worked in, I spent a maximum of maybe 3-4 years, and I move. And I move not because of I'm looking for deep skills, but I'm just looking for the next thing. I'm looking to move my career. No. So it depends. Some people have stayed in a company and have deepened their skills and have grown. And some people have then moved one after the other and have grown their career and also gained deep skills. What I try to say is that it's not one rule doesn't apply to everybody. Do you understand? So understand what you want to do, the skills you want to gain, and see how best for you to move. I will lie to you, to whoever this person is, and saying that it's better for you to move one place or another. But I don't understand your what you've done so far. I don't understand your experience. It may have worked for Mr. A, may not work for Mr. B. So you need to take out time to understand, what do I want to achieve in my career? Where I currently am I going to be able to gain it and get it? Or is it best to move? And in moving, you identify the companies, you identify the kind of experience you want, and then you go at it. Thank you. Are we done?
The last person.
Okay.
This is the last question.
No problem.
Thank you very much, ma. So my question is, as a HR personnel. So I had that challenge when I finished school. recruitment agencies, you guys are always asking for 3 years experience, 5 years experience. And then we have fresh graduates. So I have people around me now who are also in that space. So as a HR person, I don't know, a fresh graduate, how do you expect them to have those experience? So sometimes one of the things we just advise is maybe you should go and do a volunteer and then get the experience and then apply. But why is it that way? Thank you very much.
Wow. Well, you're correct about the internships and volunteering. It's one of the things I spoke about. But you know that companies that do graduate entry, that do graduate trainees, banks, consulting, so many companies do manufacturing, they do graduate training. So yes, I know that companies are asking for 3-4 years, but those are experience roles. And I hear this narrative. I don't know that it's quite correct because there are companies that have graduate programs. There are companies that when you are graduating, they come to universities and they speak to people looking for entry level. But in the time when you are still looking for your jobs, again, I said, don't be idle. Take courses, do internships, do volunteer roles, and continue to build your skills. But then there are companies that are looking for entry level. The way I started my career was consulting, and it was graduate entry. So I hope that has been helpful one way or the other. I know that there are lots of people looking for jobs. The jobs are limited. So it's a very tough market out there. But in the time when we are waiting, please make yourself useful and build your skills. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you very much. Well, that applause is too small. It's too small. I think we should.
People should clap your hands.
Yeah. Pastor Victor says you should clap. You should stand up and clap. Thank you very much. We honor you, man. Thank you so much. Such wealth of knowledge. I took notes. I hope we took notes, right? So we're going to get to that part where we'll get a feedback session. We want to hear from you. Beyond just asking questions, we want to know what is your take home. We're not just going to sit down and then just write. What are you taking back home? What are you going to be working with? Yes. What are you going to do with the knowledge you've gained today? She talked about volunteering. She talked about internship. For me, it was one of the ways I develop capacity and experience. If you check my CV, although she said if you are starting, it's good to start with 1 page. I think I heard something like that. But my CV is about 7 pages thereabouts.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, more than that. I've not even updated it. No. Really? Yes, it is. And you will see a lot of volunteering positions. And some of these organizations, the last place I volunteered was Microsoft Nigeria. And I was able to work in a very big capacity. Now, the people that came for interview that day were people that had big degrees. Yeah. But my motive of coming, my objective of coming was quite different from theirs. I was coming for volunteering. They were coming to get the Naira and Kobo. And they looked at this young man from Ajegunle, because back then I was living at Ajegunle, and they were like, you don't have the qualification, though, but for the fact that you want to volunteer, we're very excited about that. And they gave me that opportunity. And I was managing 4 countries. Someone that was living at Ajegunle that did not have the degree required for the job was able to get that job, and massive experience. So today I can say in my CV, you see Microsoft Nigeria there. It's volunteering, And many of us are just ignoring that opportunity, and it's there. There are organizations, and one of the questions I was going to ask you, ma'am, is how do we know organizations, because there are actually organizations that are open to absorb volunteers and interns. So how do we know, or how can we get access to these organizations available to accept volunteers and interns for maybe 6 months, 1 year period? And it will shock you. My salary was, when they gave me my salary, I know I'm saying salary. It's not supposed to be salary. But to me it was salary. Because I was receiving 22,000 naira airtime allowance. And I was also receiving 22,000 naira fuel allowance. I didn't have a car. I was going home on foot, and they know. But it was a part of my package as an intern was 22,000 naira for allowance. And that was not even the thank you package. You see? So for me, I was a full staff as far as I was concerned. Praise the Lord. So we really need to take advantage of everything that we're learning here, today. Apply it. All right, there's something we need to quickly address before we go to the next speaker. Question? Okay, no, don't worry. She will answer. She said no. But she will answer, don't worry. But then we need to go on a 5-minute break. We could see that some of you are taking granite already.
Yes, recess.
You are enjoying yourselves.
Ask questions,
And then
network.
please, we are going to go on a 5-minute break. But then when we are coming back, we really want the people at the left-hand side of the auditorium.
The roles that were designated for this program were these 3 roles.
Yes. So please come here so
anything
that
aside
there's
from this
decorum,
please.
there's
It
orderliness.
also helps the camera to capture,
And
the
all of us will have a
sitting
wonderful experience
arrangements.
together.
Thank
So
you.
I'm looking at Brother Jude, for example. Yes, with that wonderful red T-shirt. Sister Esther, yes,
Choir.
of course, choir. So after now, we'll come back and all of us will be here to the glory of God. So 5 minutes break. What will you do in that 5 minutes? What do they do? Still network. She talked about networking.
She says so.
Network.
So if I were
please.
you, I would take advantage of every
If you have not been
opportunity
eating
I
well,
have.
there's a nutritionist here. In case you don't know what to eat.
There's a nurse here. There's a pharmacist.
We have a lot of people here. So please network your way
There's an artist
to
here.
the top. God bless you. 5 minutes break.
All right.